Hello again. Mark Foreman here on a Sunday morning, a beautiful Sunday morning after several days of some pretty severe storms that came through. As you can see, I'm back here in front of the Pimp My Table project, the project of recreating a fold down leaf table for my sister to replace hers that was damaged. What was meant to be a side project became a massive project with a few setbacks, and I had another one, but I'm recovering from that right now. So where have I been? Let's just chat for a little bit. Well, let's see. For the past week and a half or so, I've been working on a cosmology midterm. Some of you may have seen it. I posted my presentation onto my page, just to let you guys see what I've been at. Hopefully I did okay. It was supposed to be a two-person project, but we could work alone. I chose to work alone because I wasn't sure how it was going to work out, and I didn't want to take somebody down with me. Looking back, yeah, it was a lot of work. It was probably the hardest academic project I've ever worked on. Covered past, 8 weeks of this semester. Just about every bit of the material we covered had to go into that presentation on cosmology. Big Bang, where did we come from? Where do we go? Where do we go, Cotton Eye Joe? But I got it finished. I'll let you guys know what I make on it. But from what I've looked at in the past, these massive projects take a very long time to grade. So it may be toward the end of the semester before I find out what I did on the midterm. Also, I have a daughter that's going to be moving back in for a bit. So we've been turning our two-car garage into a studio apartment for her. It's a mutual benefit thing. Her being here can help out Carrie, you know, maintaining the house and everything. She needs a little help. I'm sure I could use a little help as well. So I've been working on that. I was chasing a comet for about a week, and that just didn't work out. I could get the coma to show up really nice, but no tail. The last comet I chased a couple years ago, it was a nice, pretty tail and everything. So I don't know if I'm going to post anything on it. It was kind of neat to watch it move across the sky, but it just didn't work out for me. No big deal. What else? Oh, you're going to see I'm going to be wearing a glove for a while. I'm not trying to channel my inner Michael Jackson. No, I'm not going to moonwalk for you. But if you've noticed in all the past videos, every single one of them, I'm sitting here doing this. I'm constantly rubbing this little pinky. Well, there's a callus that was on it where I had a surgical procedure. I had a wart cut out. And after that, this callus formed and it just wouldn't go away. And sometimes my pinky would actually turn kind of purple, kind of freaked me out. So after going to my family doctor a couple of times, I even went to the ER once because it was hurting really bad one day. They'd x-ray it. And I said, well, it's not infected. There's nothing broken. You do have congenitally goofy looking fingers, but I've known that since birth. That wasn't it. Finally, last week, I went to a orthopedic surgeon. Walked in hoping, he's going to figure this out. I don't care if he's going to have to cut it off, whatever. Let's get this resolved. He looked at it for about 15 seconds, asked me a couple questions, rubbed on it a couple times. He said, quit rubbing it. All right. I'm like, really? That's your professional opinion? He goes, yeah, that's a callus. He said, you're constantly rubbing on it. It forms a callus. And what I didn't know, calluses cut off some of the circulation. And effectively, I was cutting off the circulation to the half my pinky. So he said, get a glove and wear it all the time. So I've done that, and it's working. I can't believe, I guess that's why he gets paid the big bucks. He was very confident. That's what it is. I go back to see him, but I think it's working. The moral of that story is I probably should have listened to Carrie 8 months, 9 months ago, since this has been bothering me. She was like, quit rubbing it. But I couldn't. It was just a feeling that something was stuck on my finger and I had to rub it off. Um, if ever you've had a scratch or something, you'll relate. But by wearing a glove, I feel everything everywhere on my hand and it doesn't focus on the pinky and it's worked. Long story short, I know you don't care about my medical issues, but I was relieved and found it kind of funny that it was that simple. After all, talking with everybody and coming up with all these different potential prognoses, and that's all it was. What else? Traded in my truck. Got me a smaller Ford Ranger. I really like it. Um, my big old Toyota Tundra would just suck the gas, and I was getting tired of that high car note. So I got me a nice little pickup. Now I got to figure out what I'm going to use to haul my wood. I guess I'm going to have to build a rack for it. So see about that. What else? Um, I'm sure there's more. Oh, I got kind of into this kick of I wanted to start milling my own wood. So in my next lot, it's a wooded lot next door that we haven't developed. Great big giant oak tree is starting to fall apart, and a big limb fell out. So I got my zero turn mower and went out there and dragged it over here, and been kind of playing with milling it. It's a big piece of red oak. The only problem is the drying time and all that. Takes about a year per inch of a piece of raw wood off a tree to dry out enough to where you can then work with it so it won't warp or crack or do all these other nasty things. Which is why I haven't been working on the Foreman Heritage table. And as I'm about to talk about the Pimp my table, I think you'll see that it's probably going to be put on hold for a considerable amount of time with all the lessons learned on this one because I didn't let this dry. And that's probably what's causing me all this grief. So I'm going to build a new dining table, a new idea for Carrie. And I think it's going to be very pretty. I'm going to do it out of walnut, which is very expensive. But it's going to be a little bit more traditional, but it will have a little Mark Foreman twist to it. So we'll be starting that not terribly long. I'd like to have it done by Christmas. Luckily, this year, Thanksgiving is going to be at my in-laws, so I don't have the whole brood coming over here. So the lack of a dining table is not a problem right now. But for Christmas, we'll probably have something here. Anyway, I guess I just needed to chat with somebody for a while. So can't think of anything else. Oh, yes, there is one more thing. Another thing that's been keeping me busy. I'm sure you've seen or heard, Windows 10 support has ended. Microsoft is no longer going to release updates. So to stay protected against all the latest bugs and bad guys, you need to go to Windows 11. Some of the Windows 10 computers that if they're old enough, you can't put Windows 11 on them. You can't upgrade. So I have a massive amount of new computers on order for my clients to replace some of these Windows 10 machines. I'm going to be busy with that for probably the next month. I think I have like 40 of them coming in. So that's going to be fun. And if you are running an old Windows 10 computer, don't freak out. It's not going to not boot tomorrow. But you really want to consider upgrading because no more updates means once the bad guys find a new hole in Windows 10, Microsoft's not going to patch it. So anyway, all right, let's go to the table. I was really disappointed probably 3-4 weeks ago now. I came out here and I had left the table just sitting here on top of my bench. And once again, it had bowled up. And I'm not saying bow, B-O-W. I'm talking bowl, B-O-W-L. Everything had just gone concave on me. And I attribute that to the fact that the bottom is nice, dried, um, mill purchased red oak from West Vice over in Port Arthur, Nederland, Groves, Beaumont, whatever you call that little connection cities right there. But the top is all my cookies that I've cut out of oak and cypress with the pecan wrap um, from the old place on Smith. And not being dry, it's steadily drying continually. So as it shrinks, it causes it to bow. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. I might put a metal brace on the bottom to further reinforce and keep it flat. But I fixed the bow by putting my telescope counterweights back on. So let me take those off, and then I'll use my camera on my phone to show you some of the issues. There's her head. Okay, so there's two major spots that have caused an issue. So let's go to the handheld video. One of which, oh, I can't show you that one. I have to walk around the other side. Actually, I'll go around both. Hang on. Walking around. All right, there's one right here. You can see it just looks like garbage. This cookie had actually bowed out of the table right there. So putting a weight on it for 4 or 5 days has pushed it back down, but it messed up this epoxy seam. So I got to work on that. Another big one is right there. That cookie has effectively split right in half. I'm going to try a technique I saw online with effectively super glue. You put this on, it's got a little light on it. It instantly hardens the glue. I just hope it won't show. I'm pretty sure it will bind it back together, but I just hope it won't show. But there's no saying that tomorrow it's not going to crack here or here. We'll make the best of it. I was getting down to the point of actually finishing, like putting finish on this, and I found a bunch of issues. I also tried Carrie and I. She in her crafting endeavors, Meemaw Love Crafting. I'll put a link to her page. You definitely have to go friend it, or I'm sleeping out here with this table. She has some UV drying epoxy that she uses for her crafts. So we came out here and tried to put some epoxy in all these tiny little gaps, but just like my epoxy, it bled into the wood. So it really made it look unnatural in a lot of places. So that's another reason I kind of stopped working on it, because I was pouting on something else we did wrong. I still have a lot of little cracks that I'm going to have to figure out right there. So it's not going to be a work of art, but hopefully it'll be cool enough. So let me walk back around. But regardless, I am going to finish this damn thing, and I'm going to put some legs on it. The legs are going to be made out of actual hardwood, not some that I've harvested. So that's going to be fun. I think it'll look nice. And we'll finally get this thing finished. And I'm going to put a hard wax coating on it to hopefully make it last a little bit longer. And we'll go from there. So this went a little long, a whole lot of talking that had nothing to do with tables, but I just wanted to fill you in. I just felt like telling you my story, what's been going on the past few weeks and whatnot. I now have to go power wash my garage floor, because we're going to epoxy coat it with real garage floor epoxy. I'm not going to mix it up and do something weird, but it should make the floor look nice for my daughter to get settled in. We've already insulated the garage door. We have plans for air conditioning, heating, and all that stuff. So that's what I'm going to do today. Thanks for listening this far. Any questions, comments, want to chat? Put them in the comments, send me a message, text me, call me, whatever. We'll talk to you later. Bye.